We praise Allah who created us and the one we owe our very existence to. We praise Him for all the blessings that we have. We ask Allah for forgiveness for all the mistakes that we've made. And we ask Allah to guide us in every step of life that we take. As Muslims, we declare that nobody deserves to be worshipped besides the one and only true God, and that is Allah. And we declare that Muhammad ibn Abdullah was the last and final messenger sent for our guidance and for the guidance of all humanity until the end of time. Brothers and sisters, there was a professor of physics at Geneva University. His name was Charles Eugene Guy. And he did a calculation on the probabilistic chance coincidence formation of a human being. Now, as humans, all of us were composed of certain parts that Allah has made for us. And within all of our parts, our human body, living things, they have cells. Anyone who's taken a high school biology class, they know that living things are made up of cells. And within that cell, there's a nucleus, and there's mitochondria, there's ribosomes, and there's so many different parts of that cell. And there's a DNA inside of that nucleus of the cell as well. And if you look at the human body, there's about 100 trillion cells in every single body. And inside one cell, there are atoms. And there's 100 trillion atoms inside each one of those cells. The numbers are just baffling when you think about it. So what this professor was doing, he might be Muslim, but he's saying that a cell is formed from many different parts. And he's saying that if you were to take just one protein that is essential for the formulation of a human cell, just one of them, if you calculated it, what is the probability that somehow, imagine the matter that exists in the world, it's just there, and it's able to shake itself up, it just keeps on trying to combine randomly together. What is the chance that something like that, even one protein, one part of a cell, could form randomly by chance? He did the calculation, and he said if you give you enough time, imagine there was unlimited time, the probable chance would be 1 in 100 to the 160th power. That's 160 zeros after the 100. That's how large the number is. Now Google is 100 zeros. It's the actual number. It's not just a person, right? It's the actual number. It's beyond that. There's not even a name for that number. To give you an understanding of that, the odds of winning the Powerball lottery in America when the jackpot is 620 million, and of course, as Muslims, we would never play the Powerball lottery. Haram. So I clarify that. But if someone were to play the Powerball lottery, in order to win, the chance is 1 in 292 million. That's 1 in 10 to the 7th power. We're talking about 1 in 100 to the 160th power. The numbers are impossible. So he says, basically we would need more millions upon millions of more universes of material for us to actually exist, even one cell to exist. What's the point? The point is that we're being taught, children are being taught, young adults are being taught in universities and high schools across the world, across the country, that the human being has just formed randomly. That it's just all of a sudden the material just came together naturally and there is no need to believe in a creator. And today what I wanted to talk to you about is really the idea of thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the things that we don't really focus on. Allah says in the Quran, فَاذْكُرُونِي أَذْكُرْكُمْ. He says, remember me and I will remember you. وَاشْكُرُونِي وَلَا تَكْفُرُونِ. Be thankful to me, do not be ungrateful. This idea of shukr, this idea of being thankful to Allah, is something that we have to remind ourselves regularly. It's something that on things that we don't even recognize, things we take for granted on a regular basis, like the fact that we just exist, oftentimes we overlook it and we don't thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because we may not reflect enough. Because maybe the society in which we live either distracts us so much with so many material, things that we have, to do, nice weather, places to go, or it teaches us a completely different worldview, that everything is formed by chance, and it just happens that way, and you don't need to think about who created it. So as Muslims, we're called upon to reflect, we're called upon to think. And at the same time, we have a culture which teaches us to be critical. Now there's nothing wrong with having a critical culture. But what happens is, when you become too critical in one aspect of your life, it carries over to the other aspect of your life. And this is contrary to the idea of shukr. Contrary to the idea of being thankful for whatever it is. So if you're at home, and somebody gives you food, let's say your wife gives you some food, or somebody cooks something, you have a nice meal. And then you're eating it and saying, this needs more salt, it's too spicy, it's too oily, it's not spicy enough. You start criticizing that. Now what happens? You go to work, and let's say you work in the engineering department. And in the engineering department, they say we're testing these smartphones, which ironically make people dumb. You can't remember anything they use it, but it's still a blessing. They say we're testing these and we want to see, should this button be a little bit lower in the next version of the phone that we make? Should this thing be, should the camera be put on the side over here or on the side over there? And you're taught to be critical. And what happens is when you're critical at work all day long, and you go to the classroom, high school students are taught to write essays, and you're critical. Criticize this idea, criticize that idea. Say what Malcolm X could have done differently. Say what Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. could have done differently. And you're critiquing, that what happens is, you stay in critical mode. And when you stay in critical mode, now you have a problem. Now the problem comes, is all of a sudden you go home, you go to school, you go and meet your friends, and you're still in critical mode, and you start thinking, you know what? Why did this person do this? Why did this person say this? Why did this person do this? And you forget to be thankful. And that's why it's important. There's nothing wrong with being critical when it's for progress and there's good in it. But if you can't snap yourself out of it, and you're focusing on always being critical, where are you going to find time to be thankful? And that's why we need to have this balance. Islam is about balancing these things. And if you look at what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described in the Quran, when He talks about the prophets, one of the things that He talks about when it comes to the prophets is that they were thankful people. And there are role models. So if you look at, for example, Prophet Ibrahim in the Quran, Allah says about Prophet Ibrahim, he was shakiran li an'am. He was thankful for the blessings that Allah gave him. Now, some of you know the story of Prophet Ibrahim. The very clever, very intelligent young man. He was telling his father at a young age, don't worship these idols. It doesn't make sense to worship what your own hands have carved and made. Very clever. But Allah did not only describe Ibrahim as being clever and intelligent, He described him as being someone who is thankful for the blessings that Allah gave him. Prophet Moses is in the Quran. Many of you may know his story as well. One of the things he was known for was for his strength. One of the things he was known for was for his justice. A man came and he was trying to help someone because he sensed some injustice, and he punched the guy ended up dying from the punch. Right? It was an accident. Whatever happened, maybe he fell, he hit something, whatever it was, the Prophet Musa was strong. So he could lift up water from a well to help these two women who needed help, like no one else could do. But Allah did not only praise his strength, Allah did not only praise his justice, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about Prophet Musa in Surah Al-Isra, إِنَّهُ كَانَ عَبْدًا شَكُورًا. Indeed, he was a thankful servant. So Allah is praising the quality of being thankful in the Quran when it comes to the prophets. And also, it's not that easy when someone is working against you. We have an enemy, Shaitan, the Satan who's working against us. And in fact, he gave us his playbook of how he's going to try to lead us astray. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-A'raf, Iblis is talking, Shaitan is talking, and he's telling Allah, I'm going to misguide all of these people because I hate them, because he didn't like Adam. He thought that he should have had the position that Adam got, so he's jealous, and he was racist. He thought that he's superior because he's made from fire, and Adam was made from clay. But he had this intrinsic superiority complex and this arrogance that he had. So So then he tells Allah, he says, I'm going to misguide these people. And Allah told us exactly his plan and how he's going to misguide us. He says, ثُمَّ لَآتِيَنَّهُمْ مِنْ بَيْنِ أَيْدِيهِمْ وَمِنْ خَلْفِهِمْ. He says, I'm going to come to them from the front and from the back. I'm going to whisper directly, I'm going to whisper indirectly, وَعَنْ أَيْمَانِهِمْ وَعَنْ شَمَائِلِهِمْ. I'm going to whisper from the right side, I'm going to use all sorts of confusing ideas that will confuse people, and they won't understand what's going on. And then the Iblis says at the end, وَلَا تَجِدُ أَكْثَرَهُمْ شَاكِرِينَ. You will not find most of them to be thankful. What was his plan? Is to make people ungrateful, because when you're ungrateful, it results in a certain type of distance from Allah. And then you just go further and further away. And that's why one of the meanings of kufr, normally we translate kufr as disbelief. We translate kafir as disbelief. But there's another meaning, the original linguistic meaning of kufr is actually to be ungrateful. It's to cover up and it's to be ungrateful. And a kafir can also be someone who's ungrateful for some blessing or something that somebody else is giving you. So we don't want to do that. So the first thing we need to do is we need to recognize the blessings that Allah has given us. As I just mentioned to you this quote, if we just understand the body of scientific advanced knowledge that we have today, and we look at our own body, and we say, look at the blessing that Allah has given us. 100 trillion cells, 100 trillion atoms in each cell, and the probabilistic transformation of one protein molecule is 1 in 100 to the 160th power. And you don't have enough universes in existence, even if you believe in the multiverse theory, it's not something that possibly could have originated by itself without a creator and a supremely intelligent being. So we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for our bodies. And oftentimes we don't reflect upon it, we don't think about it. So one of the things is to acknowledge the blessings that Allah is giving you and think about it. Think about what happens if you didn't have a digestive system. Think about if you didn't have access to get the food that you have to. One of the best ways to reflect upon this is to actually change your environment. When you lose your blessing that you have, you start to appreciate it. Everyone says it. When you get sick, if some people got COVID, and may Allah give shifa to everyone, may Allah cure everyone who's sick. If you get sick, if you get the flu, whatever it is, you're lying in bed and you're in pain. And then you realize, I didn't realize what it's like to walk. I didn't realize what it's like to have normal body temperature. Like we're sitting in this room, some people are complaining, air conditioning is not good enough or whatever it is. You don't realize the blessing until the whole blessing is taken away. And I'm telling you, I had an experience in my life which really woke me up. Sometimes I share it. I'll share it with you real quickly. I went to India. One of the places that I was studying is in a school in India called London Ulama. And we went there. I went from living in Irvine to going to a city of Lucknow in India, in a madrasa, like an Islamic university, and it was very difficult. One of the most difficult things was to arrive in winter when it gets very cold up there in the north of India, and there is no hot water. There's no hot water, there's no air conditioning, there's none of that stuff. And living without hot water is a very difficult thing. For me it was. Okay, some of you maybe you're fine with it. Taking freezing cold showers out of a bucket, you scoop it out, is not easy. So I bought this thing called the heating element. It's like this metal rod, you plug it into the wall, and you dip it in your water, and you have to wait for 30 minutes for your bucket of water to heat up. It sounds like a horrible idea, like putting a metal rod into the electric socket and putting it in the water, but that's simply the way it works. And after 30 minutes, your water warms up a little bit, and I tell you, once you experience that for a long time, you appreciate everything. So from India, I went to Egypt. And while I was studying in Egypt, there were a lot of Americans, a lot of Westerners, they were all studying Arabic in Egypt. And we were on the 5th floor of the apartment. And they were complaining that what happens is you have a propane tank to heat up the water in the shower. And they said, this is ridiculous. What kind of world are we living in? We have to replace the propane tank every 1 or 2 months in order to get hot water. So this is ridiculous. They would get mad and they were complaining and they were being ungrateful. And the elevator is constantly broken in all of these buildings. It's the whole year the elevator never works. So someone has to carry that tank down and replace it. But after that experience, I said, Alhamdulillah, We got hot water. I'm going to carry that tank down every single time. Don't worry. I grabbed the tank and I ran down and I had to exchange the gas tank with a guy who literally comes in on a donkey. It's 2005, yes. He comes into Cairo on a donkey with gas tanks, propane tanks, and they exchange it. And they say, what's wrong with you? Like, don't this bother you? No, because when the blessings are taken away in your life, and you get it back, you begin to appreciate. And that's why I encourage everyone to go and experience. Just go to downtown LA, spend a few days, see how people live, so that we begin to appreciate the blessings that we actually have in our life that we take for granted. Because this is something that's problematic, especially among the younger generation. And the elder generation, people have been to other countries that experience this, and that's different. But you experience something, you have everything on tap available. You want to watch a movie? On demand. Classes on demand. You can change the channel anytime you want. You do whatever you want. When you have so many options and so many blessings in front of you, you don't begin to appreciate them until they're taken away. So sometimes you should purposely take away your own blessings so that you appreciate it. And the second thing is that when you're being thankful to Allah, there's two levels of thankfulness. There's something that a lot of people don't realize. Imagine if your boss at work is very happy with you, and he says, you know what? I've decided I'm going to buy you a brand new car. You're such a good employee. You say, wow, this is amazing. You're so thankful. But you're thankful for two reasons. You're thankful because you got a car, and you're thankful because of the graciousness and the recognition that your boss is giving you. If you won the same car in like a raffle, halal raffle, or you pay money to enter into it, otherwise it will be haram. And you wouldn't feel the same way. You only are happy you got a car. You're not happy about no one else helps you. The same thing when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you a blessing in your life. It's not just the fact that you have it. It's the fact that Allah gives it. Reflect upon who we are. We're little worthless pieces of sand in this massive universe or multiverse in which we live. There's millions of galaxies out there, and we're just one little tiny thing. The fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cared enough for us to give us His blessings is something that's worthy of thankfulness and gratitude in and of itself. And the other thing is that sometimes people, they feel like, you know what, if they don't get something, they feel like, you know what, Allah is withholding this from me. It's not fair. I made dua, I wanted to marry this person, Allah did not let me have that. Oh Allah, I wanted to get that job, I applied for it, I didn't get selected. And he said, this is not true, this is not fair, what's happening? And the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu he told us to do. Number one, in an authentic hadith, he said, "Unzuru ila man asfala minkum." Look at the people who have less than you. وَلَا تَنْظُرُوا إِلَى مَنْ هُوَ فَوْقَكُمْ. Do not look at the people who are above you and have more than you. فَهُوَ أَجْدَرُ أَلَّا تَزْدَرُوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ. It is more conducive to you being thankful than the blessings of Allah that you do. If you look at it, brothers and sisters, if you look at it, we live in the United States of America, we are the top 5% richest people in the entire world, in terms of the resources that we have. Doesn't matter whether you have a job or you don't have a job. We're the top 5%. The majority of the world's population does not have internet access today. And we sit there, almost everyone's got a 4G or 5G or 10G, whatever's coming out. This is the reality, but we don't appreciate it. And if Allah doesn't give you something that you're asking for, what you should do is remember that Allah has a plan. One, He's testing you. And two, this thing that you're asking for, it may not be the best thing for you. When Allah closes one door, He's going to open another door if you're patient. You just have to wait, and you have to be able to see. Some people look back on their own life, and they say, man, that thing that I wanted to get into that school, but you know what? It was better I didn't go to that school. I look back at my life, alhamdulillah, that didn't happen. Like children almost. Like when children get everything that they want, child goes into a grocery store and wants, I want this candy, I want this candy, and what happens? Like children, many adults, they complain. I wanted that, and I wanted that, and I didn't get it. And then later on you grow up, And you look back, and you go, man, I remember I asked my parents for that gaming system, and this candy, and this, and they didn't get it for me every single time. And alhamdulillah, they didn't. Now there are no days throughout the entire year where good deeds are more rewarded than everyone's fasting and they're in the morning doing good. For some reason, I'm not being able to figure out what the reason is. That Muslims don't put the same weight to the first 10 days of the Hijjah like they do in Ramadan, but they should. They should, because it's very clear in the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad that these are the absolute best days of the year. Outside of Ramadan, you can say Ramadan, best nights of the year, whatever it is. These are the best days of the year. Many Muslims are confused about what we should be thinking when it comes to Roe v. Wade and when it comes to abortion in general. So I want to just give a very quick overview about abortion without getting into all the details. Abortion in Islam is generally prohibited or discouraged depending on the reason. But there are exceptions to the rule. And when it comes to Islam, what really matters is two things. Number one is the idea of when something is actually has signs of life inside of it, you should not terminate that thing. Like for example, an animal. Even an animal has signs of life, an animal is living. You don't just go and kill off an animal for no reason whatsoever. You have to have a very good reason for it. And the second is what's called ensoulment. When the ruh, when the actual soul is put inside the fetus, this is when that fetus now is considered to be a human being from the perspective of Islam. This is a metaphysical thing, not something that you can see. And what the Muslim scholars have said, based upon authentic hadith, is that this happens either at 40 days or 120 days after conception. So what happens here is very important for us to understand these limits here. The general rule, the summarized rule is that abortion should have some good reason prior to 40 days. It has to have a very good reason prior to 120 days. And after 120 days, it has to have a really exceptional reason, like the mother's life is going to be in danger or something along those lines. So when it comes to Muslims, what you hear two things. You hear Muslims either aligning with a group of conservatives in the country which say that ensoulment happens exactly upon fertilization. And even one day afterwards, regardless of the scenario, you're killing off and it's considered to be murder on the woman. And Islam does not state that. And on the other side, you have people who have just simply become progressive liberals, and they're saying that we don't really care what happens. This is a right, and a woman has a right to her own body, and she should not be forced to, carry any birth to its end of its pregnancy or whatever it may be, and this is a woman's freedom rights issue. And the reality is, brothers and sisters, it's neither this nor that. The reality is, Muslims and Islam is neither leftist nor is it right-wing. And we need, as Muslims, to understand, we need to have a more balanced discourse and realize that Islam is teaching something which is in between. It's a balance between these two extremes that exist in our country. So my advice to everyone is to please try to understand the deen of Islam, what it really teaches, and understand that it's not going to align with one of these two extremes, but really Islam is in the middle, and people who are out there today, they're looking for the guidance of Islam from the Muslims. We need to be those representatives. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us those representatives. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us a true, correct, and balanced understanding of the religion of Islam. Oh Allah, forgive those people who have passed away in the true faith. Oh Allah, heal those people who are sick and who are ill. Oh Allah, give us a correct understanding of Islam and let us implement it in our lives. Oh Allah, show us the truth is truth and let us follow it, and show us the false is false and keep us away from it. Ameen. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun ala al-mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله، أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله، أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله، أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة، حي على الصلاة، حي على الفلاح، حي على الفلاح. قد قامت الصلاة، قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر، الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
Still locked in on. Please make sure your line is straight, shoulder to shoulder. Fill in all the gaps. Allahu Akbar. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. ألف لام ميم ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين الذين يؤمنون بالغيب ويقيمون الصلاة ومما رزقناهم ينفقون والذين يؤمنون بما أنزل إليك وما أنزل من قبلك وبالآخرة هم يوقنون أولئك على هدى من ربهم وأولئك هم المفلحون. إن الذين كفروا سواء عليهم أأنذرتهم أم لم تنذرهم لا يؤمنون ختم الله على قلوبهم وعلى سمعهم وعلى أبصارهم غشاوة ولهم عذاب عظيم. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. Just a couple of announcements. Alhamdulillah, first and foremost, it's really nice to see the hall filled on this long weekend. It's very nice to see people from different ages. So inshallah, make sure to mingle and socialize and get to know someone you don't know. I just wanted to share with you some announcements. Of course, our women's halaqah offered on Mondays from 7 to 8 p.m. at the masjid. That is ongoing, so sisters, please join 18 and older. And of course, we are in the first 10 days of the Hijjah, as Sheikh Khutba mentioned. There are opportunities for us to do good, increase in our good deeds. And of course, Eid will follow these blessed days. We will have Eid prayer at Pierce College. Eid prayer this year will be at Pierce College on Saturday. And we'll talk about more details next Friday. Just wanted to kind of throw that out and let you all know. But of course, to focus first and foremost on these first 9 days of the Hijjah, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept from all of us. And of course, a special thank you to Sheikh Mustafa Umar, who has driven 2 hours to be with us today. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to reward him and his family, because they sacrifice just as much as he sacrifices to come and be with us. And we invite him to come back, inshallah, again to be with us. And with that, we wish you a nice, enjoyable long weekend. Assalamu alaikum. And the dua for Sister Brother Farouk Hashim's mother, who is in surgery. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant her shifa.